So Amanda, tell us about the web series you're working on.
The show is called Suspension of Disbelief, and it's by Head Games Entertainment is the group that's doing it, and it's led by Ben Boardman and Brian Clements. They're the ones that are writing and directing it, and then we also have Zach Gaskins, who's working on it pretty hard as well. And it's just really funny. It takes place in a fantasy gaming world. So the world that we live in is called Arbrontith, which is part of the area of Fatan. And it's just a giant RPG world. It's following the NPCs. So it would be any type of RPG, whether that be like LARPing or tabletop or video games, anything of that manner, anything that involves leveling up and all that fun stuff.
All right.
And so it follows the four salvagers, and they are residents of the town. They live in Arbrontith. They salvage, they're NPCs. So they, like, let's say if a hero dies, they salvage all of their goods and then sell it at a markup rate. So they make money off of salvaging all the things that the heroes that die off of. And my character's name is Blake Outlaw, and I'm the leader of the Doom Brigade, and we're a bunch of noobs that try and just act all badass and stuff. Like, we wear all black, and I go around, I just kill everybody because Blake thinks that's just definition of cool. And like, my husband is in it also. He plays Doombringer Killstein, another member of the Doom Brigade. The Doom Brigade consists of Blake Outlaw, Doombringer Killstein, Schizophrenic, and Vinny the Villain. You know, really hardcore bad guys.
Right. Yeah, like, the names sound like they're just a little exaggerated, which fits perfectly.
I mean, that's the whole point, is it's kind of like poking fun at the newbie players. They come on, they're like, I'm here to destroy everybody and be the greatest hero Arbrontith has ever seen. And I killed my father and burned my town to the ground and all of that. And it's really silly like that. And the salvagers, like, when they meet Doombringer, for example, they like have his whole story already figured out. They're like, oh, so let me guess, you killed your father and you burned your old city to the ground, and you're here to be the greatest hero this town has ever seen. And he's like, well, right, fine, you got it. And it just plays on a lot of different fantasy gaming tropes. The four girls that we have playing the lead salvagers, they're incredible. We have two girls named Maddie, and then Christina and Adina. All four of them are just incredible, and they're so freaking funny. And the chemistry between the four of them, I mean, they could do the whole thing unscripted, and it would just be fantastic. It would still flow together perfectly.
Right. So, how did you first become involved with the project, or how did you first find out about it?
I found out about it. The director of the project, his brother worked with my husband in a show one time. And my husband also went to high school with the guy that wrote the show. I was also in a couple of shows with the guy that wrote the show, with Brian. And so they had an audition notice. And so my husband, Dan, was like, hey, you want to audition for this? It's in a fantasy world. And I was like, hey, yeah, sure, because I haven't performed in forever, and I miss it greatly. And I like film a whole lot better than stage anyway. So it's one of the reasons I decided to go for it. And we auditioned. We shot a pilot version late summer, early fall of last year. And that was going to be it. But once we put it all together, we realized that there was a whole lot more potential that could go into it. So we shot like just the basic concept video. And then after that, they held a Kickstarter campaign. We raised, what was it? Was it $35,000, I think, is how much the Kickstarter ended up bringing in.
30.
Yeah, it was like $30,000 Kickstarter brought in to fund the project, which we needed, considering we had a cast of like 40 people.
Yeah.
There were tons of costumes we needed to have, because it's set in it's set in like Middle Earth type style. So, I mean, we had prosthetics we had to deal with. I mean, I had fake ears that I wore, and also was an extra in a bunch of the scenes because it helps that I live 15 minutes away from the studio.
Yeah.
So anytime they had the need for extras, it was just, okay, we'll put a wig and some prosthetics on me, and I'll just be in the background or whatever. So, like, I played a goblin one time. Another time I played, like, a red cap. Another time I just played just a person that was just sitting in the bar drinking.
How many episodes of the series have you all completed so far?
I think we finished 7. We finished the entire first season, and I think it was a 7-episode season, if I remember correctly.
What was the time period between, like, when the show first started and then wrapping up?
We had our cast meeting and full read through. I remember it was on my birthday, so February 7th was when we had the first read through with the cast. This was once we cast the full cast, because when we did it back in October, August, September, sometime around that time, it was just the 4 girls and then Dan and me and then whoever they just happened to have at the studio at the time. So just people who were like working on the show, like Jason, who was also one of the lead directors on the show, would fill in for a couple of things, as well as like Zach and them. They would all, and Ben and Brian, and all of them were just in just like little mini scenes. And so we did that, and then they recast, well, didn't really recast, they rewrote it and expanded upon the script that we already had and cast a ton more people. And then that was February 7th that we did the read through. Then we started filming at the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot, for the most part, each Saturday and Sunday. I think there was one weekend we took off between first weekend in March through the first weekend in May. May 2nd was our last day of filming. And May 3rd was when we had our wrap party. And so we would do like Saturdays and Sundays because a lot of people have regular jobs during the week. And so we just shot on the weekends. I mean, we had long ass days. I mean, each day was about a 12-hour day, at least. There was one day we were there until like 3 a.m.
Well, what would an average day on set be like for you?
A lot of hurry up and wait. And that's any set you go on to. It's, you need to get your butt there, you need to get ready, and then you wait until it's time for you to do whatever scene you're in next. Because any show you see, basically every minute that you see on camera in a show takes about an hour to shoot. And so, I mean, we would have like a page and we're just having to run the same scene over and over. It's not because it was done badly. It's just you have to do multiple takes to get it from multiple angles to get it to when planes would go through, because just so happens that Atlanta is the busiest airport in the world. And then we've got an Air Force base also close by. So that's, more planes that fly through a lot. So we always had to deal with planes every 5 minutes.
And it kind of throws off the belief of a medieval world with an airplane flying by.
We tried to pull it off like it was a dragon, but I don't think that kind of would work.
So have you guys already had an official premiere for one of the episodes?
No. What we had at the wrap party is we did watch some of the footage that's been edited together. So we got to watch that a little bit. We didn't watch the whole show or anything, just a few scenes. And then at the end of this month, we're doing a panel at MomoCon, which is in Atlanta. It's a big anime and gaming and animation convention. And so we fall under the gaming world in that sense. And I think they're going to show a few scenes from the show. And then we're also doing a panel discussion as well as a reading of a new sketch for the show, just a new scene that's written just for the MomoCon panel. I think it's about spiders.
That's cool. So,
chances are I die, because I die all the time. Blake dies all the time in the show.
But she just keeps
she
coming
keeps
back to life because
yeah,
she's an NPC.
Well, no, my character's a playable character. Playable characters can come back to life. And so my character keeps rezzing, and they even talk about how they hate the word res. It's like, really, you have a miracle performed upon you, and you can't even bring yourself to say the full word resurrect. You have to shorten it. Come on, people. And so Blake will res multiple times. I think I died four times in the season because she just runs in and kills people. She's a total she's trying to be a badass.
Right.
And she's good at killing. She's just not very nice.
And what kind of outlet do you guys have planned for the series? Is it going to be uploaded online or
Yeah, it's a web series, so it's definitely going to be up on YouTube. I mean, I think we're hoping that it'll get picked up by somebody. I mean, I would freaking love for it to get picked up by somebody. But I mean, I know at the very least it's going to be a YouTube web series.
Yeah, it seems like it takes place inside of an odd video game world.
Mm-hmm. It does. It's definitely different than any type of show or movie that I've seen or is out there, because it's not the sense of everybody knows they're in a video game. It's just this is the characters. It's following the characters that live in the town. It's what if it was a real place? There's no acknowledging, oh yeah, we're stuck in the game waiting for my user to control me, or anything like that. It's following the characters as if they are real characters.
Right. It sort of reminds me of what a live-action version of Sword Art Online.
Yeah, it would kind of, except that they, in a way, yeah, I could see that. It's a lot funnier than Sword Art Online. I love Sword Art Online so much. Oh my goodness, I love that show so much. The difference is that Sword Art Online will go into the real world. There is no acknowledgement of the real world in Suspension of Disbelief. It is, as far as we're concerned, there is no real world. It is just our Bronte.
Yeah. What's the funniest thing that's happened during filming so far?
Gosh. Oh, funniest thing that's happened during filming. I mean, everybody in the cast is just so freaking funny. I know for me, I have really bad aim with my knife that I have to use. So a few times I almost took out a couple of members of the Doom Brigade. I felt like I was worried because I had to stab the fence. And I'm really bad at that. Really, a lot of it, I think, just as far as funny things that happen on set was just silly one-liners people would come up with. Like, we would just come up with just these crazy things just off the top of our heads, because everybody is just so funny and really fun to work with. Like, everybody there is so great and just funny, just cast shenanigans. I guess one thing that was funny is we were filming at a nature preserve, and so there were people who were there just to enjoy the weather because it was nice out. I mean, it's April, it's the weekend, it's a public park, so anybody can go there. And there was one day we had like one of the guys playing one of the goblins. He's like 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall, I swear, and like full-on prosthetic. So he's green, he's got the big ears, and like this kid saw him and was just like, oh my gosh! So that was probably the funniest, was just people who didn't know what was going on, and they would just stare at us as we're standing there in funky makeup and old-timey clothes.
That kind of reminds me of like if you see a group of people LARPing at a public park, and then there's like all the other people that's dressed in the normal clothes just walking by, staring at them.
Yeah, pretty much. A couple of people asked if we were LARPing, and I'm just like, no.
And they're like, can we join? I have my foam sword in the car.
That is one thing I've never done. I've never LARPed before.
Gotcha. Okay, what's been the most difficult thing so far, besides the hurry up and wait? Long hours.
As far as difficult, really the most difficult is the fact that my allergies are so horrible, and it was outside, and there was like one weekend you could see the pollen as in the air. It wasn't just the typical everything is yellow. This is Georgia. We have horrible, horrible pollen every freaking spring.
Right.
But this was to the point of you could see the pollen in the air. It wasn't just a coat of yellow. The air was yellow. So there was that. And to top it off, I'm also severely allergic to hay. And there were just stacks of hay just around. I'm okay-ish if it's outside. Now, if I'm inside and the stack of hay is inside with me, I'm like, shoot me now. I'm going to have steroids or something in order to get me to a decent part of being able to breathe. So that was really the only hard thing about it. It's I had my resurrection scene was really cold because it was like raining, but it was so much fun because I felt like I was playing in the sprinklers because I was barefoot and everything and I'm running around. Really the hardest was just leaving every day because I loved it so much. Yeah. That was really the hardest, is just leaving at the end of the day. I was
going, because you were working long hours on the weekend, how much of a toll did it take real life outside of filming?
Not too much. I mean, I haven't really gotten to see my parents very much lately, which I do miss because they live about an hour away. To me, it was great because my husband and I got to spend more time together. Yeah. Because a lot of times I do work on the weekends as opposed to during the week, or sometimes I work during the week and not during the weekend. My schedule varies from week to week. Really, the only toll it took on me was my allergies, but that was just inevitable. That's going to happen whether I'm outside or not.
Did any kind of injuries take place on set?
No, there was nothing. I couldn't believe it. There was nothing like major. I mean, aside from the occasional like scratching yourself on a sword or something like that, which I know me, it was my own fault because I was like taking my like dagger that was like this big, it's freaking huge. It was about the size of my head, and I thought it would be fun to throw it in the air and flip it and try and catch it. So I know one time I scratched my hand on it, but no injuries. I mean, overall, the entire experience was just incredible. Everybody was so professional. Everybody was just so nice and fun to work with.
All right. You mentioned that you've been in other film projects before. Aside from the one that you just finished, what are some of your favorite films that you've been a part of?
I guess the first one I ever did was when I was 16, and my acting teacher was the one that was putting it together, and I just had a little bit part. I was like in a couple of scenes. So that was my first time actually getting to experience what it was like to be on a set. And then I love doing Zelda news every week. That's my other big one. I do it every week. I love doing it. The day before, where I'm writing the script, or the day of, you will hear me complaining, going, I don't want to write the script right now, but I don't care. I love it.
Are there any projects coming up in the future that you're going to be a part of?
I hope so. Hopefully season 2 of Suspension of Disbelief. Right now, I don't have any projects lined up. I need to have more projects lined up. Right now, it's getting everything put together for E3. That's kind of the next. Well, MomoCon is my next big thing that I'm thinking about, and then after that would be E3. Those are the two big things that I've got on my mind. So after that, I can actually focus and breathe because I'm pretty much going nonstop until E3 is over.
Yeah. So with the panel that you guys are having at MomoCon, what kind of people do you expect to be coming? Is it just people that know about it, or?
Well, MomoCon is a really big convention. It's not Dragon Con size or anything like that, but square footage wise, it's actually a really big space, and it's getting bigger every year. So a lot of the people who work at MomoCon, they know a lot of us from Suspension of Disbelief, and some of the people from Suspension of Disbelief do volunteer at MomoCon. So we have those connections already. And the ones that would be coming to it, I mean, hopefully we'll have a lot of people coming to the panel. If you are coming to MomoCon, people, come to the panel because it's going to be so funny. It's anybody who's into fantasy or sci-fi, not really sci-fi, anybody who's into fantasy or gaming, anybody who appreciates gaming regardless of the genre, if they appreciate gaming, they would be able to enjoy it because it plays on so many different tropes. Because I've never been much of a fan of like the medieval style things, but it still got that same kind of style to it that, I mean, you could put it futuristic or cyberpunk and it would still, the story would still carry the same way. That just happens to be the time period of clothing that we have on.
How long do you think each episode will last?
I think it's like a 20-minute episode each, 20 or 30 minutes each, I think.
Yeah. Simon, you disappeared on me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Simon's still there. So his voice is still there.
Is my voice still there?
Yeah.
Yes, your voice is still there.
Your video went away, though.
I don't know why, but it's back.
Alright, yeah, another thing that I wanted to ask is, with the panel being at MomoCon, what time and what day is your panel going to be?
That is the Friday of MomoCon, and it is at 3:30.
And what other panels at MomoCon are you looking forward to seeing?
Definitely looking forward to seeing Nate Wants to Battle perform. I'm a huge fan of him, of Nate Smith. He's really awesome singer, performer. Definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing my friend Adriana because she's so sweet and I adore her. So I can't wait to see her. I'm thinking she's doing some panels. I'm not positive. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be hanging out a lot in the video gaming room. I'm helping out with the video game tournaments. Awesome. And can't wait to dress up and be Misty again because that's my favorite thing to be.
So you're going to be going as Misty?
Oh yeah, I am Misty every convention I get because I always dress as Misty and I always get my husband to be Ash and then we're Ash and Misty and we make the cutest Ash and Misty couple in the world because I want them together so badly. I could go on a whole tangent. In fact, that's going to be my topic next time is relationships and Pokemon. Just remember that for next time it is going to be relationships and Pokemon.
All right.
But I'm also going to do my Malin cosplay because there's a Legend of Zelda meetup, so this way I can also I'm going to cover that. So I can be covering MomoCon for Zelda Universe. So it's like I'm trying to kill a whole bunch of birds with one stone because I'm going to be promoting Suspension of Disbelief, going to be meeting with people and networking as much as possible because that's what I love the most about the conventions is just getting to meet up with people you don't get to see very often because they don't live close by and that's a lot of times the only time you get to see each other is at cons.
That's like everybody or most of the people from Zelda Universe, the only time they really get to see each other is at events like E3.
Right, exactly. I can't wait to see everybody. I so can't wait to see everybody.
What is MomoCon? Because I don't know.
MomoCon is a gaming and anime convention. And I think they're doing comics now as well, but it's held in Atlanta. It's not Memorial Day weekend this year. Last year it was Memorial Day weekend. It's the weekend after Memorial Day. And it just takes up that weekend. It's going to be held at the Georgia World Congress Center and Omni Hotel. And it's just an awesome time for all the nerds to nerd out. They usually have some really great guests. I know Greg Miller is going to be there. I know last year they had the cast of the Animaniacs there.
Rob Paulson.
Yeah, he comes to most of the conventions around here, and it was pretty great. I saw them as well as the composer for all the music from Animaniacs was there, and they did a concert. And so it was like me and my husband and my nephew went to that.
Rob Paulson, he also voiced one of the old Ninja Turtles in the older cartoon, and he does the voice for one of the new Ninja Turtles as well.
I think he was Carl Weezer on Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Neutron. I love it. You had one other question. What was it?
Oh, yeah, Simon. I'm sorry.
But before I get to it, what does Momo stand for?
That is an excellent question. It is a popular term of endearment in Japan. Like, how here we'll call somebody Cupcake or Pumpkin or whatever, or Junior. They'll call them Momo. Also, Momo is Japanese for peach. Georgia is the peach state.
Okay.
MomoCon.
So it works on two different levels.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. My other question is, I know we've kind of moved on, but what's something that you learned in filming? What's it called? Deception of reality?
Suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of... I got it completely wrong. Suspension of disbelief. Yeah, what's something that you learned while filming it? Or with
really just how much the crew does. And I've worked crew before. Sorry, my husband's laughing at something over here. But really, a lot of it just has to do with just how much work everybody puts into it. Baby, I'm busy.
He can join in if he wants.
He's looking at goofy pictures and trying to make me laugh over here. As far as what I learned, just how to just work with so many people. One of the things about being in film is you can be in a film with somebody and not once would you meet another person that's in the show, because if you're not in any scenes together, you're not gonna like meet up with each other. So I know there are some people within the show that maybe I've only met once or twice, and then others that we hung out with a fair bit.
What is some advice that you would give to someone that's wanting to pursue a career in acting?
Work really hard. Don't take abuse from really mean directors. I was so lucky with Suspension of Disbelief. Everybody is absolutely incredible. There's nobody in the show that I just don't like, and everybody is very polite, very professional, very on top of everything. But I've been pursuing acting since I was 10, I believe. I think that's when it finally hit me that that's an actual career people try and go towards. And I'm 29 now, so 19 years. This is something I've been chasing for 19 years now. Clearly, I haven't given up yet. But really, the best advice I can say is don't compromise who you are and don't compromise your personal beliefs and morals. I mean, sure, you might end up doing something that you might not normally do, or you might wear less than you usually do. That, sure, whatever, who cares? But I mean more along the lines of, if something feels wrong, then it probably is. And I just say this from experience of having really bad experiences with some directors, with cast members, with wasting my time doing shows that were not worth my while, being yelled at by people for no reason. If you're getting abused, get out. Right. Find someplace else to go, because they do not have that power over you.